Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. It is finally time for my 2026 Hobonichi Cousin setup video. I think I uploaded my setup video last year in October, so given that it is December, I know this is really late, but without going on a tangent, in summary, I have just been really busy and dealing with a lot of personal stuff, so I haven't really been in the mood to do my setup. But in the past few weeks, I finally started just like working on little bits and pieces at a time, and some of you on Instagram might have seen that, but I am finally ready to show you the final product, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is my 2025 setup. I really enjoyed having this really clean looking cover, but also really interesting with like all of the scrap papers, and then a really fun back cover. And you can see the comparison between the two. My 2025 one is quite dirty, quite wrinkled, and a lot more chunky. Enough about the 2025 one. Let's talk about the 2026 one. Very quickly, this is the Hobonichi Cousin, which is the A5 size full yearbook. And this is the Japanese version. The clear cover that I'm using is the Midori Codex cover. Here is the little pamphlet. Midori has the notebook cover and the Codex cover. The notebook covers are perfect for the Hobonichi Cousin Avex, and the Codex is perfect for the full year. And I think I got this for around $7, so really affordable. Okay, with that out of the way, this is the cover design that I created. To be honest, I'm still kind of warming up to this. It's definitely not an instant love for me, and I'm also curious to hear your thoughts about it. But regardless, this is what I'm working with for next year. And the initial inspiration was from a member of my Facebook group. Her name is Lucy, and I will try to remember to put up her cover design on the screen. And her cover was using some of the blotter papers that I did with Esterbrook. She cut out all of the doodles and pasted it onto the cover, and I really liked that idea, but I kind of wanted to take it one step further and make it even more complicated for myself, as I tend to do with everything. I decided to cut out a bunch of shapes out of cardstock and put together my own little paper crafts. I feel like there's like a term for this kind of paper craft, but anyways, initially I was really adamant about not spending extra money to decorate my cover, and I was just going to use a bunch of like crumpled up craft papers that you get from like Amazon orders or just like any online purchases. But as you can imagine, that was really limiting, so I let myself go to Dollarama and get a pad of like neutral cardstock papers. And yeah, I basically just used an X-Acto knife, also from Dollarama, and this itty bitty pair of scissors from Muji. And I cut out all of these little shapes, and I used a mix of tape runner and glue to put all of the pieces together. So looking at this, I think what is making it the most odd looking is actually the cup of coffee cappuccino at the top. I feel like that is the most awkward thing, and I don't know, maybe I will, if I have time next year, I will replace it with something else. I feel like just like at first glance, it's not immediately clear that it's a latte art. Excluding this weird cup of coffee, I feel like I like everything else here. I have a pair of scissors. This is supposed to be the corner of a sticker sheet. I have a fountain pen and this like open book. I think this might be my favorite. And then I put down an emoji vinyl at the bottom. I also used the Craft 2026 vinyl. And after putting all of this together, there was a lot of like awkward space. So I also spent a very long time cutting up these little flowers. Also a bunch of these like little dashes for the scissors, and it's kind of hard to tell, especially with this like rainy, gloomy lighting today, but I also cut out a lot of sparkles and little dots. I will say I did get a little bit lazy, so for the corner of the sticker sheet, if I wanted to stick to this whole cardstock cutout thing, I should have cut out these like little circles with the hearts and pasted it onto the watercolor paper. but I was just a little bit too lazy to do that. So instead, I just used watercolor to paint all of these little fake stickers. I also used watercolor to paint the lines of the notebook at the bottom, and I don't know what else I can say. I guess in general, I just avoided using pens, pencils, and stuff like that to add details, but just for a few things, like, oh, also the fountain pen nib. I used a pen to draw in the little slit between the tines. So yeah, I think the cover itself took like 2 weeks to do because, again, I have been really busy, so I would literally work on this for like 20 minutes at a time. For the back cover, I kept it really simple. I once again just used a craft paper thing that came with a package. It's a little bit crumbled, but that's totally okay, and it's part of the reason why I chose it. I really like this kind of rustic look. And then so for last year, I put this nutrition facts vinyl on the back of all of my planners, so it kind of looks like a box packaging. For this year, I came out with something really similar. This is a notebook facts instead of nutrition facts. You can pause to read if you would like, but this is more relevant to like notebooks and journals. And then I also just put down this peeking emoji. So I don't know if you can tell, but this one and this guy, they're like on the same level, if that makes sense. So yeah, I thought that was a fun touch. All right, let's open this up. I also did this setup really out of order. So in the clips that I am inserting of me actually doing all of the setup, you might see, for example, the tabs first or whatever. But yeah, anyways, let me move this out of the way. For the inner cover, very simple. I just put down a sheet of the TCMC Times vellum paper. If you're wondering about vellum, I should have a really big restock and release in maybe towards the end of December. And then the pocket. So every year I make a little pocket. I think for the previous years I made it out of vellum. For this year, to kind of also go along with this whole craft paper theme, I just used a paper bag that I got with one of my Walmart delivery orders. I just cut out a piece, and for one of the pocket edges, I kept the little zigzag of the paper bag, if that makes any sense. And then for the other side, I just like ripped the paper bag, so it's kind of like a jagged edge. And basically the pocket is like folded under this like cardstock page, so it is a double-sided pocket like this. And I will say, like, for 2025, as you can see, like my pocket is kind of coming apart. One of the reasons is because I really do utilize this, and as you can see, I stuff a lot of random stuff inside. But another reason is I felt like the flap for this year was a little bit too narrow. So for this year's flap, I left a lot more room and I used a lot more adhesive tape, so hopefully it'll hold up better for 2026. And for decorating, I again kept it really simple. I just put down this "You're Doing Great" vinyl, and I also used a white gel pen to draw in a bunch of sparkles. And currently inside, I just have a little piece of blotter paper and also this weeks in a year speech bubble sheet, which I will be using throughout 2026. So I feel like keeping it on hand will ensure that I don't lose it, because I tend to lose everything. And then for the back side, in here, I will probably keep the 2026 monthly kit pieces. And yeah, again, very simply, I just put down this Helen pencil sticker and use a white gel pen to draw some sparkles. Then for this page, I am in love with how this turned out. I was kind of inspired by myself. So last month I uploaded my Hobonichi Weeks setup video for 2026, and I did something very similar with silver holographic foil. These are just a bunch of foiled seal stickers from my store, and I feel like the silver holographic works really well with the Dawn cover. But then for my Hobonichi Cousin next year, as you can see, it is a very cozy brown sort of theme. So I picked out a bunch of brown and rose gold foil stickers from my store, and I basically just went nuts decorating. And again, similar to the Hobonichi Weeks, with all of the awkward empty spaces where I didn't really have stickers to fit there, I just picked out some brown, tan, gray, and also a green marker, and I just doodled a bunch of sparkles, little dashes, and pen swatches. I'm not sure if it's like the novelty of like just getting this done, but every time I look at it, my heart is just like so happy. So yeah, I'm really excited about this page. Okay, then this is the year at a glance, which I do every year. I have the free digital files available in my Facebook group. I also sent out a newsletter, I think a few months ago, with the digital files. You can totally use the free digital files, resize them, and cut these out for yourself. I also sell stickers in our store if you need them. I think this was actually the first part of the setup that I completed because I needed to size test the stickers for the store. Now, I guess this is where I will say I did get a lot of feedback from people that this whole hand-drawn pencil watercolor aesthetic for this year, it might not be the most accessible, especially in terms of like being able to see all of the lines. I also have gotten some people like emailing me thinking that our printer ran out of ink because the pencil lines are not like solid black, you know? So I am really like proud, and I love how this collection turned out, but I likely will not be doing something similar to this. I definitely want to do more hand-drawn stickers in the future, but it won't be like a huge collection like this. I think this will be a good time to talk about the tabs. So every year I do 2 sets of tabs for my planner, one set for the weekly section and another set for the daily section. So this year for the weekly section, I used the wood bark set, which is the like brown wood grain one, and then for the daily section I used the 2026 TheCoffeeMonsterzCO colors. Embarrassing, I can't even say my own business name. But yeah, I don't do a set of tabs for the monthly section just because the monthlies are literally just like, you know, 1 page apart, so I feel like it's not necessary, at least for me, to have tabs for that. And also in general, I don't really use the monthly section on a day-to-day basis, so yeah, that's why I leave it off, but you can totally do a 3rd set of tabs. I didn't record the entire process of putting down the tabs because it took 1,020 years, but basically with all of our tabs there is a faint score in the middle, so it's really easy to fold perfectly in half, and you will also see that it is color blocked, so you know exactly where to line it up with the edge of the page. A few tricks that I have though is, number 1, to put a sheet of paper, even better would be like a piece of sticker release paper, underneath the sheet that you are trying to tab, and this way you can very clearly see the edge of the paper, and also you won't accidentally tab 2 sheets of paper together, if that makes any sense. I think this happened to me last year. Another trick that I have is to use the tab you put down previously as a guide for the next tab, and this just ensures that all of the spacing is correct. And yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. Moving on, this is the 2026 index and perpetual calendar section, and this year this was my first time creating this like little sticker sheet, I guess, for the headers, and I think it turned out so cute. I did this part of the setup really early on as well because I needed to test the sticker sizing. For this section I use it obviously as an index. As an example, maybe in the daily section of October 29th, I had a brilliant idea for a product. Then on the October 29th line, I might write the title of the product, or if I had a really fun memory, then I will just add it to the index. For the bottom here, I don't have an idea at the moment. I think for 2023 or 2024, what I did was a continuous doodle throughout, and I might do that again for 2026 because I thought that was really fun. I will keep you updated. Then moving on to the monthly section, I don't do anything for December. I like to keep that in my 2025 planner. So of course I'm using my own Hobonichi Cousin monthly kit collection, and I put down the base for all 12 months, and that is because I know myself, and if I don't do that, I am gonna get too lazy and I'm not gonna end up using the monthly section. It was actually kind of relaxing because the base is the same for all 12 months, and I was basically just like repetitively putting down stickers and not having to think too much about anything. So yes, I put down the monthly artwork box, the monthly title label, the days of the week labels, the 6 dots on the sidebar. I also put down the coordinating washi strip at the bottom. You do have to cut it down a little bit. And then for the start of each quarter, which is January, April, July, and October, I put down the new quarter foiled seal sticker. I also put down some little doodle stickers at the bottom left corner of every month just to add a little bit of fun decoration. And then for the actual numbered days, the only 2 things that I did was put down the general holiday labels and also the birthdays, and that is basically it. And it's just so rewarding for me to see everything come together. Turning 26 next year, and Luca's gonna be 3. Time passes by way too quickly. And that is it. You do get some extra months for 2027, but what I tend to use this for is to sticker test for the next year's collection, so that won't be really relevant to most people. Then for the weekly section, so at the beginning I showed this sheet of stickers, and my plan is to put this little guy at the top of all of the calendars, and I think that'll just be like the cutest way to start off the week. And then before we get into the dailies, you get these 2 empty grid pages, and it says turning the page to a new year. And I think for the past 2 to 3 years, I have been writing a letter to myself every year. I'm not finished with this year. I will show you an example of last year. So, dear 2025 Helen, sincerely 2024 Helen. And again, I'm not finished for this one. So far we just have dear 2026 Helen, and hopefully I can finish writing this soon. Honestly, I just got a little bit tired and my wrist was cramping, so yeah, that is why I stopped midway. Okay, then moving on to the daily section. This is the large kit page 1 from my store, and I'm using the washi paper version, and I am in love with how this all came together. I had this vision, sounds a little bit crazy, but because this is like a pencil and hand-drawn collection, I also drew a bunch of like these ripped paper edges, and that way it actually looks like ripped paper pieces. I hope that made sense. But yeah, for all of the months, I just put a piece on the top left corner, one on the bottom right corner, and then for the bottom left corner, that one I varied throughout the months just based on whatever I felt like. And then I also used 2 of the smaller pieces for the side, and I feel like overall it just framed things really well. I also put down the monthly header at the top and a little doodle or 2 here and there. So I did use the Wiper Petite cream color tape. It's basically a whiteout, but instead of like a bright white, it is a cream color, which matches the Hobonichi paper really well. Usually the pre-printed things on the page doesn't really bother me, even if it shows through, but I did decide to white out the very large numbers at the top because I feel like it would just kind of be a bit too distracting for the header, and I wanted that part to be perfect. I will quickly flip through all of them. February is like a brunch theme. March is really colorful. April is, I think, the most beautiful one with the lavender. May is Tulip Fields. June is City Life. July, another one of my favorites. It's like a cottagecore sort of theme with strawberries and chickens. August is a nautical theme. September's Reading. October is like a weird woodlands theme. November is Stationary Dreams. I accidentally ripped the bottom of this one. That's okay. And then December is like a goals and achievements theme. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the screen and the colors are looking terrible here. Okay. And then for the notes section, I'm really excited about the ones that I have for next year. So this one is new. This is my 2026 timeline. I just put down a 2026 sticker, drew a little start flag thingy, and then put 2027 at the bottom here and drew a little geotag. And basically what I want to do is, like, throughout the year, whenever something really notable and big happens, I want to write a little blurb about it, maybe a doodle as well, and just kind of like snake it around until 2027. This could be anything from very notable world events or things that happen in my personal life. And the reason I had this idea is, honestly, I kind of forgot that I did a collaboration with Esterbrook this year. Not that I forgot about the collaboration fountain pen, but the fact that it happened this year. I was like, I feel like this happened last year, but no, it was actually this year. And I just realized that so many notable things kind of just fade away in my memory, and I don't want that to happen. So yeah, this is why I came up with this timeline idea. And I will definitely update you next year as I fill this up. Okay, this is empty. That is because this is where I will be doing the 2027 monthly collection master checklist. I don't want to think about that right now, so let's move on from that. This is my product empties page, which I started doing for this year and I really enjoyed it, so I'm transferring it over to next year. I recently finished the Kiehl's Midnight Recovery Concentrate, and obviously it is currently not 2026, but I decided to add it into this planner because I just wanted to show an example of what it'll look like. So I just do a little doodle, the title of what it is, and a little blurb about the product. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like beauty products or toiletries. It can also be things like, let me give an example. So a lot of it is actually toiletries, but I also have apple cider vinegar, box of tea, DeAtramentis ink, stuff like that. So basically anything that takes a long time to get through. I feel like anytime I finish that, it's like a sense of accomplishment. So I feel like it's a fun way to document. And then on this back page, I have a section of things that I forgot to journal about. And this is basically like, well, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Things that happen during a certain day, but maybe I ran out of space or I forgot to journal about it and then I only remembered it a few days later and I still really want to write about it. Then I will just write it here. And I kept this page empty because I'm not too sure if I will need more space for the product empties or the things that I forgot to journal about. So whichever one I finish first and I need more space, this page will be dedicated to that. Then for the timetable, this one is kind of like a mystery, I feel like, for most people. And I don't really put too much pressure to fill it out or anything. I know a lot of people do pen swatches here, which is a really good space for that. For this year, or rather for next year, I made it a section for my phonetic alphabet. I have never memorized this alphabet, and I feel like every time I need it, I feel so embarrassed trying to like come up with these words, and I just suddenly forget every word in the English language. And then same as this year, I'm using the graph paper as a planner weight tracker. So yes, at the end of every month, I'm gonna weigh my planner on my kitchen scale and plot the points. I did learn from this year. So for this year, I was a little bit too ambitious. I think I made the scale go up to like 950 grams, so almost a kilogram. But currently my 2025 planner is at like 650-ish or like 630 or something. So I definitely didn't need that much space. And so for this year, I went from 450, which is just the weight of the book, all the way up to 700 grams. And each of the little squares is 10 grams. Okay, then almost lastly, this is the My 100 section, and every year I make a list of 100 reasons to keep going. A mix of like actual heartfelt things, personal goals, silly stuff. I don't know how to explain it. It's not really a bucket list, but it's just a reminder of all of the things that I have yet to do, learn, experience, etc. Examples of some like legitimate things would be like watching my nephew Luca grow up, fully retire my parents. I want to buy my dad his dream car, stuff like that. I also have some goal related things like fix my posture, do a push-up, do a pull-up. And then I also have some silly things like touch a chicken and touch a sheep, which like these are things I actually want to do. I would love to touch a chicken and touch a sheep one day, but obviously it's like a little bit more silly. And yeah, I always get a little bit emotional every time I make this spread, but it's again just a really good reminder throughout the year when things get a little bit tough. All right. I think this is a final part. One of my best ideas, I think, well, I won't claim to be the first person to do this because I don't know if I'm the first person to do this. But anyways, one of my better ideas have been to like take the sticker release paper of a finished sticker sheet and just use a adhesive tape runner and tape it to the back of my Hobonichi Cousin, and I just put down a bunch of stickers so that when I'm on the go or when I'm too lazy to grab my entire sticker collection, I can just quickly grab it from the back of my planner. And it's a really convenient and compact way to carry around stickers that you frequently use. However, for 2026, I had a little idea for a modification, and instead of just taping down one large sticker release paper, I taped down 4 smaller pieces, and I separated the stickers into categories of work, life, mood related stickers, and other stickers. And I did this because for 2025, I just felt like it was a little bit too messy and scattered. So I really hope that this organization, just like very loose organization, helps me next year just stay a little bit more organized. And I don't know, I don't think this means anything, but I always like to ensure that the serial number is visible. So that's why I didn't cover this part. Oh, and this vellum is the other side of this one. And I already talked about the back cover. So I think that is it. I hope you enjoyed watching my setup, and I'm really excited to hear what you think. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I hope you take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!